I just wanted to share our experience with COVID, and it just really gave us an eye-opener on how things are. And this happened late December. First, a few of our kids ended up with COVID, and they've recovered. They're fine and well. But as for me, I ended up getting the worst part of it. All right, are we starting from the beginning? So late December, I didn't feel well, started feeling ill after, of course, the kids getting diagnosed. And what happened is I went and got tested. The next day, I found out the results. And the results, of course, are positive. I'm counting it as, say, like the first day is when I started getting sick. The second day is when I finally got diagnosed. During that time, I was feeling sick. My throat was hurting a little bit. I lost my appetite. I had fevers that went up to 103, and I just continued to take Motrin and Tylenol. Prior to this, I went to the website FLCCC, and I contacted a physician there and got an array of medications that were prescribed to me. Some of them were vitamin D, zinc, Pulmicort, and quercetin, magnesium, a lot of supplements, and also IVM. For those of you who don't know, it's also ivermectin. I mean, right now, currently, the doctors, what happens is when you get diagnosed, they just send you home and tell you, okay, well, just go home and get well on your own. This is my third day of having COVID after being diagnosed. I'm just like fine one moment, I feel like 100%. And then all of a sudden I feel so tired and I start to get chills. And then my hand starts getting cold. And then that's when I start using my hot hands to warm my hands up. So earlier I was just washing dishes, cleaning up the family room, feeling fine, no fever. And all of a sudden within the next 15 minutes, boom, 101.1. Just great. On the fourth day, my throat was so sore. It hurt. It was red, swollen, and there were some little white patches in the back of my throat. I decided to go to the doctor. They swabbed my throat, and what happened? What did I get?
You're positive for
Strep throat.
So you didn't just get sick with something else, you got strep too.
Yeah, what happens is when your immune system is down, of course, there's all this bacteria that will take advantage of it. And I ended up with COVID and then strep throat 2 days later and started on antibiotics. The cool thing, I guess, the benefit of that is when I did see the doctor at the urgent care, she did tell me you need to watch out between 7 to 10 days because that's the time when, for some reason, COVID just really exacerbates. I mean, it just takes a toll on the body. And she also told me that if my oxygen level went down to 93%, to make sure that I go back and get seen by the doctor, because she showed me this graph. Right when somebody hits 93%, all of a sudden it's like the apex where everything just like goes downhill. Really lost my appetite. I mean, I would just eat maybe a cup of food a day, and
that's not like Evelyn.
No, I eat a lot.
We're like Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man.
My taste buds changed significantly. My smell changed significantly.
Her mood changed significantly.
Of course, I'm sick. What do you expect?
Oh.
As far as my taste, my taste buds, anything that was salty was, say, 100 times exaggerated. I felt like a salt packet was in the back of my throat. I was constantly drinking water to try to wash it away. It just didn't work. As far as smell, it was just too much.
You actually could smell?
Didn't smell well. Yeah.
Oh.
I would also use this incentive spirometer. What it is you have to inhale, and it helps increase your lung capacity so that it opens up the alveoli in your lungs. What happens is if your alveoli stays closed, not really expanding with oxygen, fluid builds up, and then you could end up with pneumonia. And so I was using this incentive spirometer. Day 5 and 6, I was continuing to get fevers all the way up to 103, get the chills, didn't feel well. I did not feel like I was getting better at all. Since I've had 6 days of fever, I asked Ray, hey, can you go ahead and bring me back to the ER? I'm not feeling too well. And the doctor assesses me. And he pretty much told me, well, you got COVID. It's going to be running through its course. Just come back to the ER if you're not doing better, if you're having a hard time breathing, and just come back. So I have to take some Zofran before I eat. Just feeling sick. Yeah, really tired, sleepy. Trying to force fluids down as much as I can. It's pretty hard because everything tastes like crap. So, all right, we're gonna keep on doing that. The next 2 days was when it started getting worse. On day 8, this is when I was having a hard time talking, walking. I had a hard time breathing. My oxygen level would actually go down to 90%. And then once I calmed down, it would go up to 97 because you have to do your slow, deep breathing, catch my breath, and my oxygen level will go back to normal. But any type of exertion, what will happen is it'll go down to 90.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that occurred during a small amount of time frame. Just trying to keep track of it is pretty difficult also. I asked Ray to bring me back to the ER again. And when they checked my vital signs, of course it's normal. My oxygen level was 97%. I told the doctor, hey, my oxygen level is going 92 and below after activity. And he just grabbed my finger, checked my O2 sat again, and he said, well, it shows here 98%, you're doing fine. And come back when your oxygen level is 92% consistently at all times. Not when I'm resting. If I was resting and it went back up, he wouldn't accept it. But if it's consistently 92% and below, then he said, go back to the ER. I also told him that when I was doing the incentive spirometer, it was actually less than 1,000. I could tell there's a huge difference in the amount of air I can breathe. I was just having such a hard time. And he pretty much disregarded it and just sent me home. And this is where Ray became very upset because he works as a case manager and he understands what goes on as far as patients getting assessed. But I think with the number of COVID patients coming in, and if you were to look at me, I think I'm like stoic, so you don't really see how much struggle I am having, but I'm just telling him, hey, this is what's going on. And again, he discharged me home. But Ray has a different perspective because as far as case management, I've already been there twice in the ER.
So
I'm having a hard time breathing, talking, and
so at this point, I'm hearing this story all over again, and I'm fuming. It's actually disgusting, and just me hearing this story again, because there is this criteria such as is called failed outpatient, meaning that if you have a patient that's come to you and to your provider and 2 separate occasions, and they are no longer getting better, and their baseline is getting worse, it warrants further investigation. I'm not a doctor, I've always felt like I'm pretty good at investigating and wanting to pursue things, and that's what the tools are that these doctors have, is that someone comes to you, they're not getting any better. The question is, what can we do to further diagnose? We don't just go, oh, COVID. Oh, you can't do anything. Let it run its course and just hope and pray that somehow that's it, right? We're not going to do anything like that. I kind of feel like this is like the trend that we're kind of going through. So I was already fuming, going, hey, this is not cool.
Yeah.
So even when she got sent home that night, I was checking her oxygen, and I don't think you really knew this, but her oxygen saturation at rest was dropping to in the high 80s, which that's high. I mean, she's sleeping. Or is not that is relatively low. When you're looking at 94% as being the standard of what's normal, her O2 was like in the 80s. So that's what really kind of fumes me, is that here we had somebody who declined in a span of 2 visits, And the doctor did not want to do any further diagnostics,
I
like a
think
chest x-ray, to go see what is the cause of this.
on the ninth day, let me see, on the ninth day, what happened was I stopped getting fevers. Isn't that weird? Like, I've had fevers from the first to ninth day, and no more. Oh, this is the part where the PA called. Up at our job, what happened is when you're diagnosed with COVID, they send you a questionnaire for the next 10 days to see how you're doing. And a bunch of the questions will say, how is your appetite? Are you feeling fatigue? How is your breathing? How is your cough? And each one you'll say either the same, better, or worse. And it's on a scale. On the 10th day, what happened was, since I didn't feel well, I was just getting ill more and more. I went on that questionnaire. I put down that things were getting worse, my fatigue is getting worse, a lot of stuff was getting worse. And surprisingly, 30 minutes after I submitted the questionnaire, the physician assistant called me right away and said, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And she advised me to go straight to the urgent care, get an x-ray and get some medications. And she told me, hey, we are the pros with this COVID, and I could tell something's going on with you. Get your help right now. I went and asked Ray, take me to the ER. Or no, not ER.
Urgent care.
Take me to the urgent care, because that's where they'll probably do something with you. My 10th COVID day brings me to the urgent care. And I told the PA, yes, I was diagnosed with COVID, that I got strep throat, I'm on antibiotics, these are the medications I'm taking. I asked the PA, can you give me a chest x-ray because I'm just not feeling well, my chest is feeling tight, I'm having a hard time breathing, hard time doing any activity. And he initially told me, well, you have COVID, it's pretty much go through its course, and I don't think we'll see anything, but I'll do what you want me to do. Okay. So he asked me, what would you like me to do? Well, I want you to give me a chest x-ray. And there you go. Within a few minutes, I got a chest x-ray, came back. He showed me the x-ray, and he told me he consulted with the doctor there, and they do notice some spots of pneumonia. And this was before the radiologist read the x-ray. And he said, based on what he's seeing and what the doctor saw, he's gonna go ahead and give me some antibiotics. And I got a shot on both butt cheeks. And then he also gave me a high dose antibiotics to take at home. By the time I got home, I looked at my, the online medical record, and it showed that the radiologist did see the x-ray and read it. In the report, it showed that I had pneumonia on the lower bases of both of my lungs, and pneumonia on my second lobe, and also pneumonia on my left lobe. Pretty much, we have 5 lobes in our lungs, and 4 of them had pneumonia. No wonder I was having such a hard time breathing and having a hard time just getting energy, and I had so much fatigue.
Well, we wouldn't have known that
If I asked for an x-ray.
Freaking chest x-ray. So
That's the crazy thing. That's when the light bulb hit and we thought, wow, all these people are getting sent home. If you're having a hard time breathing, your oxygen level is going down, but yet it's normal, just go home. And this is why people are looking for different interventions. I did ask about monoclonal antibody, and he told me, well, since there's a shortage of monoclonal antibody, you are not qualified for it, and you're not old enough to get it, and there's a 2-tier system, and it needs to be approved before you get it. And yeah, go home. That's the first 10 days of my COVID experience, and right now it's almost a month, but slowly getting better and doing good and recovering. So just taking my time. I can't do a lot of walking with my mask on because I feel fatigued, out of breath. I do feel like there's still a little bit of phlegm in my bronchial tubes, so I'm taking some Mucinex to help loosen that up, and continuing my inhaler steroid, and my supplements.
And it'll happen with all the other variants that come out.
I know there's so many variants.
Yeah.
It seems like the Alpha Delta variant, it was dealing with the lower base of your lungs, but now this variant, it seems like it's more upper respiratory, but at the same time, it could spread. So, yeah. All right. Well, good luck and
Happy 22.
happy 2022.
It's been a long time. We'll get on the video grind again, I guess.
Maybe. No.
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
All right.
Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see what goes on with this whole natural immunity versus vaccine versus all these studies. We're hoping for the better, and see you later.
Just kidding.
Bye.
Adios.